You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on the irlonestar.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Business Hour. Appreciate you taking the opportunity to join us, whether you're listening to our live broadcast or a podcast at your own schedule. The Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses throughout the world come to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and to be part of conversations that can make a real difference in your business. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com. A quick reminder, every week I mention this show is being broadcast live on YouTube, Facebook. Just go to the Weekly Business Hour page, click, and you can not only hear us, but you can watch us. Also want to do a shout out to our sponsor this week. It is OneBestConsult.com. That's the number OneBestConsult.com. That's a website and a community that I founded. It's based around the idea that common sense business advice is what really works to grow your business. We have a business community there. I encourage you to go to that website, OneBestConsult.com, where you can join us. We have a newsletter that goes out. We have tips, video tips, all kinds of information that's available to you for you to use at your leisure. So please, I encourage you, visit OneBestConsult.com to see how you can be part of a business community. I also offer my mentoring and advising services there. So if you're interested in one-on-one, you can find out about it there and join us if you so desire. At this point, the show gets real easy every week. It's the part where I encourage you, sit back, grab your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we talk about everything business right here on the Weekly Business Hour. And today, we're going to start a new soup to nuts conversation. I always get excited because soup to nuts conversations always involve someone who is a quote-unquote expert. Part of that is their experience. They've been through it. They've done it. They've worked with people like you that are listening, along with many, many others, in some cases around the world. And today, I'm so pleased. We have Ralph D'Onofrio with us, and we're going to talk about what questions you must answer to market your business. Ralph is a former executive VP of Pennzoil Products. He served as an executive professor at the Wolff Center for Entrepreneurship, and he's a Silver Fox advisor. Ralph, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us in the blooming metropolis of Conroe in Montgomery County. You live and work in the Houston area. And I think it's important people, marketing is sometimes a subject that a lot of folks shy away from. When they start a business, they got a product, they got a service, they got an idea, but they don't really consider how they're going to market that product. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think all we have to do is look at what's going on with our celebrating Apollo 11 over and over again. Everybody's doing it. What came out of that, in my mind, was that ideas are really nothing. Execution is everything. We had one man, our president, have the idea, and it took hundreds of millions of dollars and 10,000 people to execute it, okay? So you have to look at marketing as an integral part of this execution. You just can't have a good idea to sell $10 cupcakes downtown Conroe. We've got to find ways to execute that thing, okay? So this Apollo 11, if nothing else, will remind us we have to execute. And marketing is an integral part of executing whatever we do, okay?
I think that's a wonderful observation, the Apollo 11, which is a current event, because I saw all kinds of people tagging onto that in their businesses, hamburgers, ice cream, clothing, all kinds of things, say, with slogans, shoot for the moon, whatever. You're exactly right. It wasn't that they had an original idea per se.
Somebody else really did their marketing for them, and they were clever enough to jump on it.
Very interesting. I wonder how many billions of dollars of products and services were sold under that moniker.
Untold.
Well, let's talk about marketing. To me, the first step in marketing is assessing your business. What's your business situation? You know, you've got, let's take an example. Let's get somebody's starting a business. So it's a startup. So they're putting all their plans together. They're getting their money. They're doing the things hopefully they need to do before they start business. From your perspective, startup, how do they need to prepare their business to be able to market their product?
Well, you know, whether you're a startup or for the last 20 some odd years, I've been working with owners of privately held businesses, and some of them have a hard time answering this question. But what you really have to look at is what problems are you solving, okay? And is the problem a desire on some business or somebody's part, or is it a need, okay? And that's what you have to really look at. Current example, I have a client who services compressors, valves, electric motors, does a big job. These are big motors, 35,000 horsepower motors, big compressors and so on. He has two clients. One happens to be a large city who never wants their pumps for the water, the sewers, or anything else to go out. Their desire is that their citizens should never have any issues. Okay. One of his other clients happens to be the prison system in Texas. When the pump goes out, they call my client, okay? So he, in a sense, he's like the tow truck at the side of the road. He's waiting for the accident to happen, okay? One's a desire, never have the citizens affected by bad pumps. The other one is a need. When the thing breaks, by golly, you gotta get over here. So I think you need to look at what you're either doing or proposing to do. What kind of problem am I solving, okay? $10 cupcakes in downtown Conroe might be a need or a desire. We don't know, okay? But it could be done, but you have to really look at it. And I have clients who've been in business for a long time who have a hard time answering that question. So take a look at that first, okay?
You know, I think that's an interesting question. You determine whether you have a desire or a need, because the marketing, I assume, is going to be different.
Of course.
And it's great first question. Is it a desire or need you're seeking to fill?
Well, what problem are you solving?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense any of us getting business, including this radio channel we're doing. It is solving some needs out there or desires out there. Everybody has to do that.
Or there may not even be a need or desire for $10 cupcakes in downtown
Well, we
Conroe.
don't know. we don't know.
Interesting question.
Okay.
Existing business. Okay, I'm in business for a period of time, 5, 10 years, whatever, a few years, and I'm going to step back and I'm going to look at my marketing. What questions, again, in an existing business, are there different questions that I need to address?
Well, I won't embarrass Rick with this, but I always say, what should this business look like when it's finished? No timelines. If the tooth fairy could come in tomorrow and wave her thing, here's what this thing should look like. And again, most people in business can't really answer that. What should this thing look like? Rick's consulting business, what should it look like when it's finished? Okay, same thing has to apply to whatever you're doing. What should it look like? And if you can't really, in my opinion, get a hands on that, you're going to be bouncing off walls, going in wrong directions and so on. It should be this. I should have 6 locations, 42 employees, 27 trucks, whatever. What should it look like? You don't have to put a timeline on this at all. This is just what should it look like if I could wave the wand and boom, here's what I look like, okay? And you need to answer that when you're wandering around and what problems you're solving. You know, it's tough.
You know, that's interesting because it takes me to another topic, kind of an overlap into what's my exit strategy, again, focusing on the business owner, but the idea that the owner has a vision, a dream, whatever, of what they want their business to look like. I think that's interesting. And that kind of brings you to the point, if you can determine the desire, need, you see where your product service fits, you get an idea of what it should look like. How do you encourage or advise people in general to set their overall marketing goals? Once they determine the desire, the need, is there any secret in that sauce of setting those goals?
Well, even though this may be the first day you've started your business, your cupcake stand, we're all here eventually to monetize or sell this business, okay? Whether it's 2 years, 20 years, pass it on to the kids, the grandkids, but something. We're here to sell, I use the word sell to monetize this business, okay? So when you start it, that sort of should be in mind, okay? If I get this up, I just noticed on the way up, 2 or 3 more DeMontron car dealerships on the way up here on this thing, okay? He's getting bigger and bigger, but I'm sure somewhere in the back of his mind, he's hoping somebody comes in with a check someday to do those things. How does he have to do it? Do you have to have brand names, what have you? You have to do the same thing, okay? So why would anybody buy your business if they didn't know about your business? Marketing, okay? And how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna sell those $10 cupcakes in downtown Conroe, okay? Because when you start that store, in my opinion, you should be thinking about, how do I sell this store to somebody else and monetize it and ride off on your horse with your saddlebags full of money, hopefully, on a thing. Okay.
Well, and it's funny, I believe the same thing, is that when you are gonna build that market plan or adjust the plan as you go down the road and always keep that eye on that end that you're looking for, that you hope for, whatever it is. I think that's very important. Well, let's talk about strengths and weaknesses of the owner and the business, because they can be different. I always like to talk about strengths and weaknesses of our owners of small businesses, because so much of the business typically is dependent on the owner, who they are, how they feel about things. Strengths. Okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm an owner of a business, and I need to gather together, put down on paper preferably or on the computer, strengths. How do you approach determining one's strengths?
Okay, let me take the opposite side for a minute. Managing weakness is hard work. Managing weakness is a headache. Managing weakness is a pain, and you know what, okay? So what you have to do is take a look at your business and where am I weak? Is it my people? Is it my cash flows? Is it my location? Is it the color of my trucks? Couldn't be me. Could it be me? Okay, where am I weak? Because that to me is where you need to put some real energy, because even though if you're strong in 4 or 5 other categories, this weakness is gonna negatively affect the other ones, okay? And managing weakness is a headache. It really is. And it's probably taken more of your time than you wanted to. Let's say your weakness is your employees. It's probably taken more time than you wanted to do other things, okay? Or your managing weakness is your marketing or lack of marketing or something, okay? So while looking for strengths, you've got to find that weakness in the thing, because it's going to take an extraordinary amount of time that you could be devoting to other things. Or it's a headache, or you go home at night and you can't get it off your mind, you can't sleep, and whatever it does to you, okay? So what I work with my clients is try to point out is what's weak in your system here, what's weak in it, and then go to work on that so you can really spend time on the strength. And sometimes, sometimes the weakness is ourselves. I have a client who's strong on ideas, very strong on ideas. Implementing them is not so good. So I've encouraged him over the years to hire people who really can implement, do the job, work, do it, get out there and make it done, okay? It took him a while to realize he wasn't walking on water all the time, that he might have a weakness or two, but now he's done a much better job in the last couple of years of really hiring people who can get things done. He's never short of ideas, okay? But then he puts them out, and that was his weakness himself. He was implementing his own ideas. Didn't do a good job, just moved on to the next idea, okay? So,
well, you bring up some questions in my mind, a couple questions. One is strengths and weaknesses. It sounds like it's also like an equation. You have so many weaknesses, you have so many strengths, weaknesses, and you got a scale. Right. And I've seen circumstances, I assume you have, where the weakness that you have, weaknesses plural or singular, are so strong that they pull or drag the strengths, and you really equal to, the equation says this business is just not going to work. Like location is so bad, and you need the location for maybe not the most important thing, but it's up the line for everybody, whether it's logistics or being on Main Street. How do you respond to that? How do you approach the scale of strengths and weaknesses? And have you seen people who really got dragged down because the weakness was such a powerful force, or just almost impossible to overcome?
Yeah, let me think. I've seen people depend too much on family. I've seen people depend too much on people who think like themselves. Sometimes that's Nick, sometimes it's not. Okay, I trust him because he's Indian, and I trust all Indians, and that's been a mistake. I've seen people trust people because of their education or their credentials. And my client didn't have it, but somebody had got a degree from Yale, Harvard, or some such thing, and he must be wonderful on this thing. Okay, and Rick just said maybe sometimes you are in the wrong location. Okay, I used to be in the quick lube business back in the '80s when it was growing like crazy. I can't tell you the energy we put into which corner we should be on, which way does the traffic turn? Is it in easy egress and ingress? Can they get in and out all right? Can the guy coming up the street get to us, okay? You think we were doing brain surgery for pouring a piece of cement or asphalt on the ground, putting a building up, okay? So you have to really think about this. Does it make any difference where you are? Well, $10 cupcakes in downtown Conroe might make a big difference, okay? But if you're the guy supplying the batter and stuff probably doesn't make any difference where you are. On a thing. So, to me, you just have to think it out. Let's go back. What problems are you solving? Okay, what problems are you really solving? Okay, there's no reason for any of us to be in business if we're not helping overcome some problem somewhere. Okay, and if we can make it big enough, $10 cupcakes, because there's no $10 cupcakes within 150 miles of Conroe, we're solving a problem. With a lot of birthday parties, a lot of things could use those. That's what I'm trying to say. What problems are you solving? And then take a look at everything you're doing. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of moving pieces to this. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, we're to our first break for today's show. We're going to take a short break. I hope you'll stay with us. We're going to come back and talk about a certain degree of honesty that everyone needs to have when they look at their weaknesses, their strengths, and putting those down and reflecting on those. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
It's all about business on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
A Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internship opportunities, a Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to grab the mic and be on the air. A Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube, TV, podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
For those of you who like your partners, your gumbo, and your music salty, well, we're here to help with the music. Julian Shea here, host of Lone Star Country Nights Thursday, your weekly dose of roots and Americana and all the music that makes this part of the country special. We stir in Western swing, honky-tonk, Zydeco, Texas blues, outlaw country, and put a pinch of red dirt, and then we smoke it over a slow fire. Then listen to the results Thursday nights on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Not sure who to turn to when you have a problem in your business? Listen to the Weekly Business Hour on Lone Star Community Radio.
This is the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host, and we're having a soup to nuts conversation here today about marketing and all the elements, some of which I doubt you've ever thought about, that go into putting together a good marketing plan and executing it. And we're blessed to have as our guest Ralph D'Onofrio. Well, Ralph, when we went to the break, we were talking strengths and weaknesses and how that all needs to be analyzed. And one of the things I think you do a great job is how you manage the weakness, because we're going to have strengths and we're going to have weaknesses. But one of the things I think is important is when I do this analysis, and probably do it multiple times if I stay in business a long time, because marketing plans change, is to be honest, to look in the mirror, if you will, and say, yes, this is a strength and this is a weakness. So when I record those and put them down, that I'm being honest about my ability as the owner that these are the strengths and weaknesses of the business and my strengths and weaknesses. What do you run into with that, being honest? How do you get people to be honest about those things?
Well, okay. I had a client who was an attorney and also a CPA. Okay. Interesting combination. And what she handled from the legal side was mostly people who got in problems with the IRS and those kind of things. That was her strength on the thing. Believe it or not, she had the worst set of books I've ever seen in my life. And that was my primary role with this lady, was to sort of clean up her own backyard, if you would, okay. She did a fine job for others. She had a couple other CPAs working for her, I think one other attorney. They did a nice job with all their clients, and her bookkeeping was a mess. Fortunately, she admitted it. I mean, that's why I ended up doing it. Not that I am a CPA by any means, but at least I got our house in order, and we began to put things in the right column and that kind of stuff, okay. So she was doing a fine job, I guess, for other folks. Maybe didn't have the time, inclination, or something to it. But what caught her was she realized she had an issue and asked me in to help her out. So I worked with her for a couple of years, and it worked. And so we got all the right pigeons in the right pigeonholes after a while, and then she could have a clerk just put all this stuff in there, and she knew where she was. It was interesting. She was a very upscale, uptight, very rigid kind of individual, and basically her person or car were a mess. Okay, so she flighted everybody else except herself. I think we do that a lot. I think all of us do that a lot. Okay, we can sort of see the holes in the other guy's armor. We don't see it in our own. And we have to, if you're a businessman and a lot of people depending on you, or your family's depending on the cash flows, whatever it is, you need to take a kind of a good look at yourself. What am I doing here? Can I really do this, or do I need some help on this thing? Or should I merge with somebody? Or should I sell out? Or should I buy somebody else? All kind of good questions come out of that.
And they're questions that have to be answered honestly. Let's talk about some things that are going on in real time. Amazon. What's the impact of Amazon in the business world and the small business world?
What do you mean, aside from taking over the earth?
But what do I do about it? I mean, talk about Amazon for a moment.
What got me going, thinking about Amazon was perhaps a year or so ago. I had a conversation with a gentleman who was in the cement pumping business. You've seen those trucks. They pump cement into apartment buildings, building. This guy's in the cement pumping business, and he said, I certainly hope Amazon never gets into my business, which I thought was kind of an odd fear, if you would. I mean, of course, you can't tell, maybe Amazon would, but in further conversation, what he was really saying was the Amazon effect is affecting his business like it affects everybody else. And if you buy something from Amazon and it didn't fit and you ship it back, they probably credit your credit card within 2 or 3 days of receiving it. And his customers were saying to me, I ship something back and it takes you 30 days to give me credit. Why can't you do that? So the Amazon effect was hurting this individual, or beginning to nudge him in the cement pumping business. Here's what, if you got your pencil in your left or right hand, whichever, I want you to think about this. All Amazon is a continually improving operational process. A continually improving operational process. What you probably haven't done, if you're running a business, is look at your business as a process. And that's what it really is, okay? And you, in my opinion, with a little thinking, can do the same thing Amazon. You can continually improve every part of your operation because your business is a process. And that's the way they look at it. And if they happen to buy a grocery store to improve this process, that's their business. But that's all they do, is just continually improve that. When they first started building warehouses, they find two interstates that come together, and that's where they'd ship from. That was Amarillo and El Paso. Now they're going to get to you in one day. They have to build their warehouses in Katy, Conroe, and all these other places where they can get to it. So they just continually improve their process. And you as a business owner can do the same thing. But it just takes conscious awareness that I need to look at this process, this process, this process, because your business is a process, okay? And if you look at it that way, I think that maybe the fear that Amazon is going to take over the entire world here in 3 months will go away a little bit, okay? Because you can do the same thing they do, just continually improve your processes.
Well, I have a couple observations. First, I think that's a wonderful observation, a wonderful situation or analysis to use in one's business. Comparing yourself to Amazon, here I am on Main Street, and I do a couple 100,000 a year, but things I can learn. I've always believed that we can learn from the big boys if we're willing to distill it down. It doesn't take a lot. But secondly, and I think most importantly from my perspective on this Amazon example you give, is I believe we're absolutely in a world today, world of business, world of personal and all kinds of social, things are moving fast. And if you go into business today, I think it's so much difference as far as the tempo, the attitude, how things in general, regardless of industry, are moving than it was just 5, 10 years ago or 20 years ago. We had a history of businesses that you open a business, you work for 40 years, you turn out widgets, you do this, you deliver, and you didn't have to innovate. You didn't have to change. You did not have to improve your process that much. I believe that if you don't have a mindset and don't buy into that concept that you're talking about of continually improving your process, then you're not going to make it. You're going to die. Because, and again, I don't care what business you're in. I'm sure there's an exception like the buggy whip business, but in your example, they're going to have to change the way they bill or something like that and collect. I mean, there are going to be changes in their process. So I think it's very important people hear what you're saying, and I think the Amazon example is a wonderful one.
Okay, right under where you wrote continually improving operational process, right, that nothing stands still for more than an hour, okay? Now, that, as Rick just said, that, you just got to stay on top of things and keep moving, but that gives us a big advantage, because what that also means is structures don't stay in place very long. So we can have an opportunity to change structures or go in when a structure changes. Rick's example of, you went in and came out 40 years later doesn't exist anymore because the structure didn't change much in those 40 years. Now, because nothing stands still more than an hour, we have an opportunity to jump either on somebody else's change or help change it ourselves, okay? Because there is an advantage there, okay? Everything's moving so fast. How do I hook onto this and move with it, or how can I help it change, okay? Structures are very fluid because of all this rapid change. First, Amazon says they'll deliver in 2 days. Then they just said they deliver in 1 day. Pretty soon, I guess, with artificial intelligence, they'll read my mind, tell me when I'm out of toothpaste, and ship it to me before I even know I need it. I'm not sure, but somehow we can jump on that change of structure, all of us can, and make it work.
Yeah,
okay.
And you have to have the attitude.
That's right.
You've got to have the attitude if you start a business to do that.
Nothing lasts for more than an hour.
It's a foundational issue today.
Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our Part 1 conversation with Ralph here today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll mark down to join us next week. That's Monday the 29th, I guess. We'll have Part 2 of this conversation for you, talking about your marketing, your business, what questions you must answer to properly market your business. Ralph, if folks want to reach out to you, talk to you about what it is, maybe engage you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, I've got this old-fashioned web email. It's called ralphworks@aol.com. Ralphworks is one word, there's an S on it, ralphworks@aol.com. Again, and I promise I'll respond. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll stay with us in the second half of our show. We're going to do a businessman on the street interview with Mr. Steve Scott, who will be delivering a presentation on Wednesday, July 24th at the Conroe Chamber of Commerce entitled Networking is Just One Letter Away from Not Working. Very interesting. I encourage you to go to conroe.org if you'd like to get more information and register. And then I'll finish up with my one best consult tip of the week. Today, make time to have lunch with a smart person. So stay with us and we'll be right back with you.
It's all business talk on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
Remember to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on your computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. Lone Star Community Radio broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your questions. Get seen on TV, YouTube, and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Support your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
What is homelessness? Have you seen parents struggle to find a job without having transportation or childcare? What about the children sleeping in cars with nothing to eat? Families shouldn't have to struggle to survive, and children should not be homeless. Family Promise of Montgomery County serves the needs of homeless families and their children. Learn about ways you can help and learn about partnership opportunities at www.familypromiseofmc.org or call our day center at 936-441-8778.
For business ideas and news you can use, join us on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com. Just a reminder, in case you missed part of the first segment of our show, the show is available on video, podcast throughout the social media world. You go to YouTube, you go to Facebook, the Weekly Business Hour page. You can go to the radio station, Lone Star Community Radio, at irlonestar.com or to onebestconsult.com. Typically, we are able to post that video podcast on Wednesday following the show. So, again, I encourage you, refer back to it. If you like it, share it with people. It's a great way to share some business ideas, advice that you've received with your fellow business people. I also want to thank our show sponsor again, onebestconsult.com. That's the number one, bestconsult.com. It's a great place to visit. It's a community of like-minded business, small business people looking for common sense business advice in order to grow and develop their businesses. Well, this week, as I mentioned before the break, we have a businessman on the street interview. These are when I go out into the business community and talk to businessmen and women who are involved, who've had a great idea, have a great business, or have an event coming up that they're going to be part of. I want to hear what they're going to talk about, and hopefully, if you're in the local area in Montgomery County or surrounding counties, that you might be enticed, if you will, to come and listen to them, because business education is the cornerstone in my opinion, or an important foundational issue, if you will, of building a long-term successful business. And these folks typically put on wonderful presentations. You walk away with ideas that you can use in your business today. And today, our businessman on the street guest will be Mr. Steve Scott, who will deliver a presentation this coming Wednesday, July 24th, at the Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce, entitled "Networking is Just One Letter Away from Not Working." And again, if you want additional information, just go to the website for the chamber, conroe.org. So now, sit back and listen as Mr. Steve Scott talks about his upcoming presentation, and networking is just one letter away from not working. Well, this is Rick Schissler. I'm out and about in Montgomery County looking for business ideas, business events, things that are going on. And today we're looking for somebody to talk to about something that might be a beneficial benefit to you as a business person, perhaps an event. And while I was out moving around in the city and the county, I came across Mr. Steve Scott, the Houston business coach. Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Obviously, you searched high and didn't find anything, and then you searched low.
Well, I think we get out there, but you've got a wonderful event coming up, I think, about networking. And I want to talk about it today, if you don't mind, so I can put it out there. People hopefully become aware of it. Because in my mind, networking is one of the foundational issues that every business needs to be involved in from a revenue generating point of view. So I know you'll do a great job because I've listened to you before. You're a wonderful speaker. You convey a lot of ideas with a certain degree of emotion. You just have the right mix when you put something out for people to listen to. Tell us about the event itself.
Well, the event is part of the Conroe Chamber's Professional Business Development, and it's going to be next Wednesday, July 24th. It's 7:45 in the morning, breakfast from 7:45 to 8. And then at 8 o'clock, we get started, and we go until 9:30. And the topic's going to be networking is one letter away from not working.
I love the title. Where did that title come from?
It was given to me. I did not come up with it. Normally, when I get to speak, they say, "What would you like to talk about?" But that's not what happened this time. I said, "I'm in. Let's go for it."
So you bought into the title.
Yeah, that's right.
That's cool. That's a good way to get involved, and then you worked around it.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about, you're going to be speaking about networking is one letter away from not working. I love that. Talk about some of the things you're going to be covering in the event.
I'm going to start out where the word networking actually came from, because I think it's always important to know the origin and how it's morphed over a period of time since the 1590s. In ancient England. And once we have that context, what is networking really about? Everything in life is about one thing. Matter of fact, I could not be here with you right now. It's about access. So have you ever gotten on your computer, type something in, and it goes access denied? Good networking gives you access, but the degree of access you have depends on how good a networker you are. And along those lines, I'm going to talk about the culture that you personally bring in to each interaction. Most people don't think about this, but what you bring in absolutely determines what you get back out. I'm going to also go through some studies on self-talk. What do you say when you talk to yourself? I actually got to know Dr. Shad Helmstetter back in the late 80s, early 90s, who wrote the book and was the founder of the self-talk movement. What do you say when you talk to yourself? Very, very important, because what's on the inside will manifest itself on the outside when you network with people. And then I'm going to get into the 4 communication disconnectors. By the way, they're all valid. We all use them. But we need to be careful when we network, when we use them. And then I'm going to go over 4 personal traits that can absolutely help you in terms of gaining greater access, better connection. But let's go back right to the beginning. Most people approach networking and they're intentional, but they have the wrong intention. So I'm going to share with people what the right intention is in order to take your networking to the next level.
Well, in the years I've been out there as a business person, a business owner, I've networked. I had to learn, like everybody, from scratch what it was about. Still learning today. But I have found the biggest challenge for most folks is the idea that they've got to just go because they're afraid, they're concerned, they don't know what to say. They just have this sort of an innate fear of going into a group of potentially a lot of strangers, new people to meet, and so they just don't do it. And to me, as a business mentor advisor, that's one of the worst. You've got to engage in networking. What do you advise people to get up I don't know if it's the courage or make that step in the door of the event?
Well, the thing is, if you don't have a specific purpose in anything you undertake, you kind of become a wandering generality instead of a meaningful specific. So what I'm going to share with people is how to be on purpose. Because once you have a purpose and you're intentional, then you can approach something with confidence. But until you know what that is, it's kind of like, well, why should I go? I'm just going to meet more people. And the answer is, yes, you will, but how you meet them can absolutely change your life. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't networked with you at one time. I wouldn't be able to do this with the Conroe Chamber if I hadn't networked at one time. So people say, well, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. That doesn't really matter. What is the process? If you're an introvert, you have to follow a process, and if you're an extrovert, you have to. Some of the worst networkers, matter of fact, I will tell you, most of the worst networkers are extroverted. And just as we know, they can make it all about themselves.
That's interesting, and I think it should be an encouragement to people to attend a program like this so they can get a little bit of information, and it sounds like put that plan together. In other words, why am I going to that event? What's my goal versus just showing up because they have free food or whatever. Have a plan in mind.
Right, because most people say, oh, the reason I network is to expand my network. I'm going to share that psychologically is deadly. If that's your intention, it's not going to work that well for you.
That's like it reminds me of having a list of 100 or 1,000 prospects, but you never reach out to them. You never connect. You never start the relationship.
So would you rather have 50 connections or 5 or 10 really great connections?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Anything else that you think stands out that people could really, we can help the introvert, extrovert. I love that example. It doesn't matter. You need to get over that, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's how prepared you are really to go in and be successful, because really you're doing business. It's just like working with customers in your own business, as suppliers, whatever. You've got to go into the mindset, hey, I'm going to be successful here and build some relationships.
And the thing is, there are 2 bottom lines for most of us. One is our work-life bottom line, and the other is the personal. Networking involves both bottom lines. So what people are going to take away is not only how to be better networking in social situations, but to be better networkers at their business. And here's the most important thing, with their family and other people that they are close to. Because when you put those together, everybody wants peace of mind. They want happiness. And success is great. Success, as Warren Buffett once said, is getting what you want, but happiness is wanting what you get. And when you learn some things that can support you to be a better networker, you have a much greater chance at happiness along with your success.
I love the concept that it's your personal as well as your business. And you're exactly right. Someone who's a good networker in business should be very good in their personal life with family and friends and whatnot. That's an excellent opportunity. Well, the event's coming up next Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm sorry. Boy, don't give me a chance to.
It's the first time in my life I've gotten to correct you.
Well, that happens to the best of us, as we'd say. Even Rush Limbaugh says
You're
that.
the best, yes.
But the event, give us the information one time.
Okay. It's next Wednesday, July 24th at 7:45 at the Conroe Chamber of Commerce boardroom, and breakfast will be served. The program will get underway at 8. The The name of it, once again, is Networking is One Letter Away from Not Working. And we're going to go from 8 until 9:30.
Well, and I'd like to add an encouragement. If you're listening to this video or audio part of it, watching the video, that I encourage you, whether you're an employee working for a company or you own your own business, which is where I work with small business people, there's always an opportunity, even if you're good at networking, to sharpen your skills, because this is a wonderful skill, isn't it, to develop?
It is, because really, if you don't have access in life, nothing happens. Think about that. And really what networking is about is access. And the degree of access you get will determine what opportunities come your way.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Again, I encourage you, Steve Scott is definitely, in my opinion, an authority on a lot of things business. He's the Houston Business Coach. If you want to check him out, thehoustonbusinesscoach.com. But I encourage you to consider coming to this event. Got a free breakfast included, so there's not really a good reason not to be there.
I think it's $10 altogether for chamber members and $15 if you're not a member.
Okay. Well, I guess the breakfast isn't free. I'll take that back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Scott, thank you for taking time to join us as we wander about, if you will, Montgomery County, looking for businessmen and businesswomen who are active in the community. Great event, and we'll catch you on the downside.
Thank you so much, Rick. Appreciate it.
OneBestConsult.com, a community of small business owners where you as an owner can find answers to the most pressing business questions you have. Not sure who to turn to when you have a challenge in your business? Turn to the folks at OneBestConsult.com. That's the number one, bestconsult.com, where you can always find advice you can use based on common sense business experience. Join our community of like-minded business owners at OneBestConsult.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our Businessman on the Street interview with Mr. Steve Scott. And again, I encourage you, if you live in the area, Montgomery County and surrounding area, on Wednesday the 24th, 7:45 a.m. at the Chamber of Commerce, Steve's going to lead a presentation entitled Networking is One Letter Away from Not Working. It is an interesting presentation. I think anyone, regardless of where you are in your networking, how long you've been at it, will gain invaluable information. So I encourage you to go to conroe.org, click on events, and sign up for the event. They have a lot of folks have already signed up. They will sell this out. So I encourage you to do that today. That's Wednesday, the 24th of July. It's 7:45 for breakfast, 8 o'clock it starts, and you'll be out of there by 9:30. So I encourage you, regardless, again, of where you are in your networking experience, it in my opinion, it will help all that show and listen to Steve Scott. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to mention to you that the interview I did is posted on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel, The Weekly Business Hour, if you'd like to look at it again, because there's some valuable information that Steve shared that he is going to be talking about again at the presentation, so it might be worth your time to watch that interview just to get an idea and possibly use some of those ideas to make your business better today. We're going to take our final break of the day, and when we come back, I'm going to deliver my OneBestConsult.com tip of the week. Today, make time to have lunch with a smart person. So I hope you'll stick around and join us after the commercial break.
Not sure who to turn to when you have a problem in your business? Listen to the Weekly Business Hour on Lone Star Community Radio.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
It's all business talk on the weekly business hour every Monday at 11 a.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for our final segment of today. And I want to thank you for listening to the show. And I want to make a mention. I failed to do it early on, and I was remiss for not doing it. If you have a comment, a question, you want me to respond to a question about your business, just send me an email. That's rick@irlonestar.com. Just send it to the station. I'll get it, rick@lonestar.com, or you can send it to the Gmail account as well. So I'm going to talk about in my onebestconsult.com tip of the week about going to lunch today with a smart person. I presented this in a blog that I wrote earlier, and I had a few chuckles. Smart people. Yeah, we want to be around smart people. But, oftentimes we're busy in our businesses, and we grab lunch when we can. I think it's important to try to find smart people to have lunch or spend some time with is the point. And these are smart people that you meet everywhere you go in your life, whether it's personal, to go to the schools, churches, wherever. And in my case, I'll give you a quick story. I recently had lunch with a man, Tommy Thompson. Tommy has run the operations of our 1,000-plus member church campus. That's where I met him. But it's his background and his job that he currently has, and the one that he had with the church, and the one he had in corporate America for 40-plus years. He uses all the skills and experiences that he's learned as he went up. For an example, in his career, he's held several positions such as corporate safety manager for a major energy company. Now stop for a second and think about how demanding that job. These required him to be a top-notch strategist as well as a daily problem solver. In his position, he had a direct impact on the overall business and health of that company. Tommy is and had to be a smart person on his job every day. These are the kind of people I'm encouraging you to look for, the ones that have the experience, the knowledge, and they're willing to share it. And to have lunch. And again, that is just kind of a slogan, if you will, have lunch. Is to get with them, have a cup of coffee, have some time, spend some time in the evening, go fishing with them, whatever it might be. Because first, you can learn from them. And I'm not talking just about things like you learn where to go eat lunch or where to take a vacation. Secondly, they're successful. Smart people are successful, and their success tends to rub off on those who associate with them. And finally, smart people have a way of motivating us. We're in the room with a smart person. We're sharing a one-on-one conversation, most importantly, with them, and they will motivate you if they're truly a smart person. So there are 3 good reasons to be around smart people. Continuous learning, and I even mentioned this earlier in the show indirectly. It, to me, is a foundational issue if you want to build a strong, growing business that works for both you and your family. And one way to get that education is to have lunch with a smart person. Success is measured in many different ways, as we know, and having a well-rounded life is important to individual success. And the more time we can spend with these quote-unquote smart people, the more we're able to understand the success model, if you will, and to make it our own. So it's really important. When you spend time with these people, they'll inspire you. They'll inspire you to do things both personally, with your family, in your business. So this is all about being around people that make you better. There's no doubt about it. The bottom line is smart people, they want and enjoy inspiring and serving others. That's part of the qualities that they bring to the conversation, if you will, that you can take advantage of and you can learn from. The way they act, talk, and treat their daily challenges, the way they conduct themselves, if you will, they say, I'm a smart person. So you're looking for people who, in a sense, are leaders. They could be obvious leaders, being a CEO, owner of a business, the head of a church, the principal of a school, whatever. But a lot of times they're just rank and file people in life, but they truly are the kind of leaders you want to be around. So when you have lunch with a smart person, a cup of coffee, and the check comes, don't be afraid to pick it up, because you're going to walk away smarter than you did when you first sat down. So my encouragement, have lunch with a smart person. Again, thank you for joining us today. I hope that you were able to learn and get some ideas that you can use in your business today. And please put a note on your calendar to join us again next Monday right here on irlonestar.com at 11 a.m. when Ralph D'Onofrio will rejoin us for part 2 of our Soup to Nuts conversation, what questions you must answer to properly market your business. Again, look for the podcast of today's show on the Weekly Business Hour page of irlonestar.com or on Facebook, YouTube, or on our website at onebestconsult.com. It will be published later in the week. And again, thank you for joining us. Remember to stay in touch with what's happening in Montgomery County right here on Lone Star Community Radio. Until next week, stay engaged and keep your focus on what counts in your business. Thanks. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio. The Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses from around the world come to talk about the latest in business news and to be part of conversations that can make a real difference in their business. Join us this coming Monday, July 29th, when Ralph D'Onofrio, renowned business marketing educator, will join us for part 2, Soup to Nuts conversation, what questions you must answer to properly market your business.
Thanks for checking out this show on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. This show is owned